What's happening? Welcome back. Wake Up Barstool. We're kicking off hour 2 with a 15-year NFL vet, Super Bowl champ, talking about Brian Hoyer, a man who knows his Patriots organization inside and out.
Let's go, Brian!
Host of the Quick Snap podcast, him and David Andrews. Brian, what's up, babe? How we doing today?
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me here. It's Super Bowl week, so I'm freaking stoked, man. I can't wait. And obviously, being a 3-time Patriot for myself, I am obviously could have never foresaw this season. I thought they would be good, but not like this, and so can't wait to see Sunday.
And so help us out here, because we're talking from a gambling perspective earlier, and it's a big spread, right? Patriots have been great this year, but it's a 4.5. It's a big spread. And then we have our expert on Stu, and he's saying in his book he would have scored at like 7.5, even 6.5. So give us the Patriots' perspective on this game, man. Why are they being so undervalued here, and do you disagree with that assertion?
Well, first and foremost, I do disagree. I think the narrative out there is, the schedule and then the playoff run. You know, they play a banged-up offensive Chargers offensive line, and they get after Herbert, and then all of a sudden they play the Texans, who's this great defense, and everybody picks them to lose that game, and they come out, and it was rough in the first half offensively, but in the second half, Drake May was on fire, and that defense is real. And so I think the one thing, people are sleeping on their defense a little bit. They are legit. I think Vrabel and interim defensive coordinator Zach Core have come up with a tremendous game plan. They signed the right players in the offseason. They drafted some guys who can contribute. And then, of course, they go out to Denver, and my boy Stiddy has to fill in for Bo Nix. So everybody kind of discredits that. All by the while, they play in a blizzard in the second half. So I think there's a little bit of this, have they really proven anything yet? But to me, and I will shout out our podcast, because early on, I mean, my boy David, I know you have a history with them.
Yep.
He was calling for the Super Bowl after they beat the Bills in Buffalo. And he was saying, book the tickets. And so we were on it early. And I think for me, just so recently removed from playing, I kind of go with my gut, and I watch this team, and they're very unique. They may not have the star players, and they may have come off of a 4-13 season the year before, but they have come together and built a culture there so quickly, and they believed it before they achieved it. And Vrabel has talked about this. They bought in, and they just kept doubling down, tripling down, and here they are in the Super Bowl.
What do you think, Brian, the score is going to be as far as, do you think there'll be a lot of points scored in the game? As you just said, the Patriots defense has been prolific. They've been overlooked. I mean, they've been playing outstanding forever, and we know the Seahawks defense might be all world. Do you think there'll be a lot of points scored in the game, turnovers, or do you think it'll be under that point spread right now, locked in at 45.5?
I'm still learning about the gambling stuff. My producer, Danny Healy, he gets on me all the time. He's like, how do you not know this? I was like, bro, for 15 years, I just didn't even acknowledge it, because it was.
You don't need to have the know it. You don't need to have the know it. Trust me. You don't.
I look at it, and I do think I look. In 2018, we won 13-3, I believe, in the Super Bowl. And the year before, Tom Brady threw for 500 yards and we lost. So it is kind of a crapshoot, right? You don't really know, how the momentum in the game goes. But I could see something being like 23-20. Maybe if it gets a little bit, there's some turnovers back and forth, maybe some more points are scored, like 27-24. But I don't think it's going to be anything higher than that. I do think that the Patriots match up better against the Seahawks than the Rams. I was sitting there watching that Rams-Seahawks conference championship game saying, I don't think you want to see Stafford in the Super Bowl with his experience, with Sean McVay's experience. And I hate to say this because I love Sam Darnold. I love what his career, his path has been, especially for me being a journeyman quarterback, to see a guy like that get his opportunity and take advantage of it. But I do believe this solely comes down to how does he perform. And I think the Patriots defense, their game plan has to be, don't let Kenneth Walker get going, whichever way you want to do that. Starting some too high shells, rotate late down in there, get him stopped. Take away JSN on those play action passes that Darnold feeds off of, and try to turn this into a drop back game and get ahead early. Make them feel uncomfortable. I think that's the one thing when you've watched them in these playoff games, they've never gotten to a level where they felt uncomfortable offensively. And I think Clint Kubiak has done a tremendous job pairing plays together, comes from that West Coast Shanahan scheme. He's going to be a tremendous head coach in Vegas. I thought that was probably the most impressive hire in the coaching cycle was for them to be able to get Kubiak and pair him with potentially Mendoza. And so I think you just got to get those guys out of their comfort zone early. You see this here when Darnold has time, he can step up in the pocket. Look, he's going to find JSN. And the Patriots defense, the one thing they do, we call it battleship football. All of a sudden it's 2 Tampa, then the next play it's blitz 0. Now all of a sudden it's cover 1. Like, they're going to spin the dial on him, and he's going to have to make some of those reads after the snap.
Brian, now looking when the Patriots have the ball, this is a team that I guess kind of similar in some ways. They like to start on the ground. That's kind of the fuel for the engine of the offense. Everything kind of builds on top of that. You have a Seattle defense, we all know the stat, hasn't allowed a 100-yard rusher in 26 straight games, one of the hardest defenses to run on in the entire NFL, a freaky front with a freaky scheme. How do you believe the Patriots will be able to manufacture some rushing success to get things going? And if not, how do they counterpunch?
Yeah, I think they have to. I really do. I think the one thing, and I know the numbers haven't been huge, but Ramondre Stevenson has just been toting the thing. And even if it wears him down by the end of the game, I remember watching that Houston game. Now, I honestly think Houston's defense is better than Seattle's. That's just my opinion. And by the end of that game, they had this 60-yard drive where they were backed up, and they just kept handing it to Mondre, and he was breaking them down and breaking tackles. And they weren't, 15, 20-yard runs, but they all add up. And by the end of the game, they had worn down that Houston defense. I think they have to do the same thing against Seattle. And I think the secret weapon here, which is not so big of a secret, is Josh McDaniels. With 2 weeks to prepare, he actually came on our Quick Snap podcast, and we always ask people, what's your favorite moment, Patriots moment? And he said it was that 2014 Seattle Super Bowl, because he goes, it was just like a heavyweight fight, slugging it out back and forth. And we knew they were really good, and they knew we were really good. And it was going to be a battle. And I think he had such admiration. So I think he's going to go into this game feeling the same way. And you give him 2 weeks to prepare. Drake May gets his shoulder healthy. And honestly, too, I haven't checked the weather, but there's no way it's going to be as bad as it was the last 2 games they played. And so I think there's a way, and I think they have to stay committed to that running game. You can't think that you're going to sit there and drop back 40 times against this Seattle defense. That front is just too good. Their secondary is too tight in with the front. They know that the ball has to come out early, and Mike McDonald has just done a tremendous job, similarly to Vrabel, of building that culture and the way they play. They play so fast, so hard. It's going to be a battle all sides around. When Seattle's offense and Patriots defense is out there, the same way when the Patriots offense and Seattle's defense out there, this is going to be really good football.
Hey, Mr. Hoyer, Liam Blutman here, big-time football fan, and I just want to let you know the weather forecasters are saying there's a 40% chance of rain. I don't like the weather forecasters. I think they make stuff up. I think they're always wrong. What I want to talk to you about is the Super Bowl is such a sublime opportunity for the X factor, the underappreciated player, to make a big play and make their mark on the game. Who are you looking for either side of the ball to be the X factor?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think back to the Super Bowls that I was a part of, and to me, when we beat the Rams in 2018, you had guys like Jason McCourty, who had just come to the Patriots after being on, the bottom barrel teams, and makes a play in the back of the end zone to knock the ball out of Brandon Cook's hands. Or Kyle Van Noy, I thought he played lights out that night. So for me, when I look at this Patriots team, is it a guy like Kayshon Boutte, who's kind of had a year where he makes these big explosive plays? Obviously, we saw the play against the Texans when he's on Stingley, who's one of the top corners in the league, and makes an incredible one-handed catch. Also, with some of those catch and run plays that he had, there was actually a play in that Houston game where he hit a slant off of a quick play action play, which was the same play Tom Brady threw the touchdown to Brandon LaFell the last time the Seahawks and the Patriots played. So could it be a guy like that? I'd look over to the Seahawks. I think that they're going to try to shut down, the Patriots are going to try to shut down JSN. Is it Cooper Kupp coming up with another big Super Bowl performance? Is it Barner, the tight end, who's maybe overlooked because they're drawing so much attention to JSN? He's had a big year, and Darnold feels comfortable throwing to him. He's a big target. So some of those secondhand guys that maybe aren't going to be the top guys when you're looking at maybe the projections of receptions or touchdowns. I think one other name that I'd throw out, and I just think about this because Seattle's secondary is really good, but they play a lot of split safety shell, and Hunter Henry has been Drake May's comfort blanket from the moment he took over as a starter last year. Is that somewhere that they look to expose? Like, Ernest Jones is great, but he's short. So you got Hunter Henry running down the middle of the field. He's a big target. Is that something that Drake really leans on this week?
I mean, Keyshawn Booty, Derek Stingley,
LSU.
Brandon LaFell. I mean, Brian, noted LSU guy here, dude. How about Caleb Chason, another one who's been huge?
Oh, dude.
For New
I mean,
England
Chason this year has been like they made a lot of great signings. But Chason, what he's done at the end of the year, this dude's going to get broke off in the offseason.
Yeah.
And I hope the Patriots keep him because he earned it here. He was a guy who, even when I used to play, you look at the scouting report, like, all right, we got to keep an eye on this guy. But the production never really came. And now this year in this system, he's just been incredible. The motor with which he plays. There was a play in the Denver game where he went and dove to try to make the tackle, didn't get it, got back up, sprinted to the ball and made a tackle. Like, that's how you got to play in this game, because this game is literally, until the final whistle blows, you got to play with that effort.
Brian, I want to ask you this. I mean, you had so much experience with this Patriots franchise. You had experience in multiple iterations, and as a 15-year NFL vet, like, you can definitely appreciate every team is different. And so I guess my question to you is, even though the players have changed, the coaches have changed, do you think there is any institutional knowledge or institutional ties that bind, that kind of carry over to have the Patriots back in this game and maybe give them somewhat of an advantage in this game?
Yeah, I've been saying this all week. I think there is an advantage. Vrabel playing in this game 3 times as a player, he knows what it's like, the hoopla. You know, you win the AFC Championship game and all of a sudden you're like, okay, we got to make all these plans. And the Patriots organization, because they've gone to so many, I mean, they have Nancy Meyer, who's in the front office, who's been along for all these rides. They have the people in the football operations who know how to get this done. They're out there scouting hotels the week before. Like, they know the process. And so usually you come in, you have a meeting. All right, here's your little packet. You know, these are the days where your family can go on the charter flight. Here's the hotel. Like, they have this down packed. And I also believe that, like I said before, Josh McDaniels coaching in this game. This game is a very unique game. And having been through it, it's really like 2 games in one, because the lead up to the game, you have the extra week, you're traveling. It really is like a college bowl game. And then, you know, there's America the Beautiful, there's the national anthem. It takes forever to get to kickoff. So you're out there, and I remember Belichick saying, like, don't like, you know, blow yourself out in warmups. There's a long gap from warmups to when the game starts. And then you play the first half. Now all of a sudden you go in, and halftime's quick in the NFL. This isn't college with the bands, and, you know, it's like 12 and a half minutes. Now you go in, it's almost a 30-minute break. We actually practiced that break right there in this Super Bowl. You're watching these clips. That was my 3rd year. We practiced in Indianapolis on a Wednesday that year, and we did the first half of practice, and then we took like a 25-minute break to simulate halftime, went over and sat down. Okay, here's what they're doing. These are adjustments you have to make. So I think the knowledge of how this game is played, it's so different from any other game. I think that totally benefits the Patriots.
So I was talking to Trey Smith from the Chiefs yesterday, and I was kind of asking him mentally as a younger player how he approached this game. So is it kind of a mixture of, like, do you acknowledge the fact that the stage? Do you acknowledge the immensity of it while trying to still convince yourself that, hey, this is football? It's 110 yards, 53 wide, same dimensions.
Yeah.
How do you process it all mentally?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And the first time I went, you know, you're like, all right, I'm just going to focus on this game. Like, I'm the backup quarterback. Can you imagine, like, all of a sudden you're thrust into this Super Bowl? Like, I spent every minute that wasn't in the film room or the meeting room or at practice, like, I would go back to my room and just study, because I didn't know the system the way Tom did. And I'm like, if something happens, I got to be ready to go. I don't want to put myself out there in the biggest world stage and not be ready. And then the second time I was more established. I knew the offense. You could really enjoy the week a little bit more. And then I would say by the third time, it was just, I mean, that's where the Patriots organization, I get it. Most of those players have never gone to the Super Bowl, especially with the Patriots. I think Milton Williams might be the only one who's gone to one. I think you want to acknowledge it. You want to acknowledge what the week is. You want to understand that this is the biggest game of your life. But when it gets to kickoff, you got to get back and say, all right, now it's time to play football. You rely on your preparation. You don't all of a sudden just play to another level because it's a bigger game. It's all going to be based off of that preparation you put in. And obviously with the extra week, you feel even more comfortable with the game plan.
So you were at 3 Super Bowls total?
Yes.
So in the second and the third, now that you were used to it, were you able to watch the halftime show at all? Were you able to enjoy that pomp and circumstance?
Not with Belichick as a coach. I mean, this is like so regimented, and you could hear it. But that was the funniest part is like, you go into the locker room and you could feel the thumping of the bass and everything. And you would after the game, obviously, your family would be like, "Oh, Madonna was incredible." I'm like, "Great!" Like we were down there trying to figure out how to beat the Eagles. You know what I mean? So, you could feel the energy. I think that's the biggest thing is you don't want it to be an energy drain as this game goes along. And like I said, look, I didn't get the chance to play because I was the backup quarterback, but just the lead up to it and the preparation. And I remember looking over at Tom Brady after those Super Bowl games and just. Not just physically drained, but emotionally and mentally drained because you pour everything into this game and it's a long day. Like the game's not till later in the day. You got this big buildup. You got all the hoopla. Like, usually our days are not that long. It's very regimented. You have your routine. You get to the stadium. You do everything you got to do. The game's over. Boom, you fly right back. I'll tell you this. This is something you would enjoy. When the Super Bowl ends, it is total chaos. Like, people are going to the locker room. Some people are on the field. Like you're trying to find your family. I remember when we beat LA, walking through the crowd of the fans after the game because it was so crazy. I didn't even know where to go to find the team bus. So like I'm thinking to myself, how crazy this is. Like I was just on the field celebrating and holding the Lombardi, and here I am just walking through the crowd back to the hotel with the fans. It was one of those surreal moments that I'll never forget.
Love that.
Hey, Brian, obviously new coaching staff in New England from when you played, totally new players, but you were mentioning people in the front office, who still work there. I don't know if the equipment people are the same, maybe the sports performance people. I don't know who handles this. But when you played in New England, what color Gatorade did y'all have more often than not in the coolers?
So I do remember a lot of purple. Guys like the purple and yellow. Those were the only two.
Okay.
Lemon lime, baby. Let's go.
Lemon lime and
lemon lime.
And honestly, I was just for me, I was always trying to drink like the bottles of Gatorade. So I was always trying to get the clear. I like that clear ice or whatever, that like cherry ice or whatever. But I do remember a few times seeing yellow and purple in there. So I know that's like a bet or whatever. So
duly noted. I didn't say that. I was just curious.
Brian, what about, real quick, hey, Michigan State, Pat Fitzgerald, how we feeling, babe?
I love him. I've been in contact with them. Actually, through some of the media stuff that I've done, I've gotten to know him. Obviously, played against him, and I think he's going to bring back the style of Spartan football that we were all accustomed to under Coach D'Antonio. Even going back to Nick Saban those years, like this tough, Spartan dog mentality. And I'm stoked about it. I think he's the right guy for the job. Doesn't help when you get a nice $400 million donation to the athletic department. And in this day and age in college football, you look at what Indiana did in a short time with Coach Cignetti. I thought he was tremendous. So those turnarounds can happen quickly, especially with the portal. I do think we got to fix this portal to fix college football. Like, look, you can't just be picking and choosing every year. Like, all right, I'm going to switch teams. This guy, I've heard stories of kids signing deals and then a week later, getting a better deal and leaving. Like, imagine the chaos that would create in the NFL. We got to limit this. Like, you get one free pass or whatever it might be, and really try to, build that up. Like you and I are talking about LSU. I'm sure that those teammates from LSU are your brothers for life. Like, I think we're losing that aspect of college football.
Yeah,
we got to bring that back.
Yeah, I agree, Brian. Oh, dude, thank you so much, man. Again, the Quick Snap Podcast. It's Brian, it's David Andrews. You're a Patriots fan especially. Check it out. Brian, thank you so much. Have a great week, man.
Great Saturday night with your daughter, too. Great dinner.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's going to be amazing. I love you.
Brian Hoyer, what a legend, dude.
Amazing.
Excellent insight.
So good.